Hello and welcome to episode 475 of Geektown Radio. I'm your host, Dave, and with me this week is Darryl. How are you doing?
Hey there, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, thanks. So what have you been up to the last few weeks?
Okay, in the midst of shaking things up, I have been listening to an audiobook.
Cool.
I'm working my way through a series called The Dark Healer. It's by Alex Toxic and Nadya Lee. And you can find it where you find all good ebooks and things. So even Amazon, if you so choose.
Yeah.
At the moment, I think there's 11 installments in this, and the genre is what we call progression, which means it's very much set around your protagonist growing in strength as you read through the books. Which is around gaining levels, but it's not as quite as defined as that. So they've grown in strength, and it's like, I'm now much stronger than I was before, basically. So the story, open your mind's eye to imagine this. 1,000 years ago in Europe, there was magic in the world, and the world, which is basically Europe as they knew then, was ruled by what they call princes. Princes run clans, and each prince is known for a specific type of magic. So you have a prince who's a healer, and his clan specializes in healing. So you'll have obviously members of the clan and members of his bloodline who have that power. But you also have normal people without magic as servants and do other stuff around. And we've learned about the prince at the top, who is a man called Max Richter, and he is the head of the Richter clan, and his specialty is necromancy.
Okay.
So what we see is that in the world, there's been these strange areas popping up, like a blight, which causes the plants and animals to mutate and become dangerous, and it makes the area uninhabitable. And so the past years, he's been going around dealing with that because it's only himself and necromancers can even walk into those areas,
right?
Either becoming ill or going mad. And so after he clears like a particularly large area and gets rid of their core focuses, and he goes and beats a focus monster, he decides to go into a long sleep where he'll recharge his vast powers. And I think he's supposed to go to sleep for 100 years. And when we find him, it's been a little bit longer than that.
Okay.
And so he awakens to find that 1,000 years have passed since his time. All mention of the Richter clan has been systematically removed from the world. And the source of the energy that you find on those places that we call focuses, basically it's now their equivalent of electricity. So it's the most common energy source. And we follow Max as he seeks to find out, one, who sabotaged his resting, as he finds Marx shows the rest of the princes messed with his place. And so that's why he was asleep so long. He's lost nearly all of his powers. And so we're following him as he seeks to find out what happened, why his clan doesn't seem to exist anymore. And yeah, that's what we're doing.
Cool. Okay.
And so I've read about 5 books of it. The world is pretty much a modern world. So we have cars, TVs, electricity, and all that sort of thing, powered through this mysterious substance that seems to be from another world. It's set in Europe. They never give it a country. So they clearly make reference to what would likely be France or what would likely be Italy and so on and so forth, but they never give them names.
Right.
So we assume where it's set is somewhere within Europe, possibly like Russia, but we never know. And so it's just about him moving through. He eventually finds the last living other than himself, Richter, who is a young woman who knows nothing about her family. We just follow their adventures. It's a pretty straightforward thing. It's all about him getting back his powers, him finding out who did this to him, which of the princes are responsible, because all the other princes and their families still exist and are just as powerful as they were back then. Obviously now they don't have him in full control over them. Yeah, it's a fun book. It has the normal things of people underestimating him, and as the name suggests, because both necromancers and healers can work on the body, even living ones. He pretends to be a healer, but healers in this world like what he does, which is to take away the poison that is from those areas, it's considered the lowest of the lowest jobs. You might as well be cleaning toilets, even though he's magic, and therefore you would think it was like one run among normal people who don't have magic.
Yeah.
It's quite funny. You can see what's going to happen a mile away, but it's still fun to get there. And yes, I've just been enjoying that and working my way through the books slowly.
Cool. Oh, that sounds like a good series to get into. It's called The Dark Healer. And we don't do enough book reviews on here. We really should do a few more of those. But yeah, that's good. Worth going to check that out.
Definitely. The next week, back to movies and TV, I watched The Tomorrow Job, which is, I think it's about 2023 film. And I just watched it off the back. I can remember ages and ages ago, I just happened to see it pop up as a trailer on YouTube. And I thought, I've got 2 minutes, let's watch it. And it just looks pretty funny. It's a very well put together trailer. It's a simple idea. So we're introduced to a crew led by Lee, and they are thieves. And the way that they run their things is through the use of this drug. Pay attention now, because it gets a little weird. The drug sends your mind into the future, 24 hours.
Okay.
So they have this thing where 24 hours before the robbery, they put themselves in the back of a U-Haul van, blindfold themselves, and start driving around. And then they take the drug, head to the next day with the plan of what they're going to do. They get it done. And then after an hour's gone, their mind gets snapped back into the present where an hour was gone.
Right.
Okay, so keep that in your mind, because it's going to get, And then 24 hours later, so add that, say it's 1 o'clock, so 24 hours later at 1, as far as they're concerned, their mind snap back into the past, where they're in the truck for an hour just driving around.
Yes.
And the reason they do that is because this drug has been around for a while. It's been refined now to the point where they know where they're going 24 hours. But before, you didn't know how far you were going. And that led to people, after taking it, just losing all sense of time.
Right.
And literally not knowing, is it yesterday? Is it today? Where am I? Does this matter? Doesn't matter. Sort of thing is driving people crazy.
Yeah.
And so we follow this team. Everything seems to be going well until it isn't. And then basically watch the scramble as this team tries to sort everything out and escape with their lives. And it's just a little indie film with actors I've never met before, including Grant Schumacher, Caitlin Duffy, Ariella Mastroianni, Chris Simperman, George Catt, who I think I probably have seen before, and Lee John Woods. And it's clearly an indie film. They clearly do not have a lot of budget going around, but that makes them tighten up the writing and keeps the things going. You can see points where this bog standard blockbuster, there'd be like an epic car chase here.
Yeah.
Instead, they're going to have a little talk with the potential bad guys, so they have to move things through dialogue, because they can't be spending all that money on that Terminator 2 scene, which cost like a crazy amount of money when they built a road just for a stunt.
Yeah.
And I think it works pretty well. It's a fun story. The time travel has lots of extra things that make it much easier to follow than someone trying to tell you about the story. And yeah, it was just a fun thing to just sit down, watch and enjoy. It is a heist movie. If you like the Ocean's 11 or things like that, it's on that side of things in terms of action films.
Okay, cool. It does sound interesting for that sort of low budget sci-fi thing. It looks like it's available on Now TV as well as to rent from various places. But yeah,
you can rent, or if you're on Prime and you have one of their little sub-channel things, Channel 101, you can watch it through that as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So it's called The Tomorrow Job. Yeah, worth seeking that one out, I think.
So moving on to The Return of High Potential.
Yes.
Which is Kate Olsen's star, where she's just, it is an incredibly charming, fun little role for her. I think she does amazing work when it comes to TV. It makes me want to go and look up her other things. Basically, if you were a fan, you should be. At the end of last season, we got this new big bad guy who considers himself a bit of the games master. He has successfully kidnapped one of our team who managed to get back and barely keep alive. And so in our first two, because we've had 2 episodes since its return, it's basically spent wrapping that storyline up with guest Dave Gentoli from Grimm or Superman Lewis, if you watch that all the way through to the end. But yeah, it's really fun. It do it really well. This 2-parter, which almost feels like a movie. We also get some interesting developments on what we call the B plotline, which is that Morgan, who is the character that Caitlin plays, has been requesting the help of the police to find her missing ex, who got into some trouble and left the state. And we find some new things about that in the first 2 things as well.
Yes.
which
Yeah.
then introduce a new character going forward. But yeah, as far as the season of the first 2 episodes, it's just as good as the first season was. And I think we have lots more interesting places to go now. I'll be there each week catching the new ones.
Yeah, I'm watching this weekly as well. I really like the show. I think Caitlin Olsen's great in that lead role. As I said before, there are a lot of these sort of clever person helping police dramas around there, but I think this one lands really well. And the rest of the cast is really good. It's got Jivanka Leslie in there. She plays one of the people in the major crimes unit. Daniel Sanjata is in there as well, who plays her sort of partner. You've got Michael Pfeiffer shows up as well from ER. It was the thing that I probably know him from. It was ER, wasn't it? I think.
It's in the stuff for that.
Yes. I've done lots of other stuff as well. And Judy Reyes as well, who is going to be splitting her time between doing her role in this and returning on Scrubs. Because they're rebooting Scrubs, or not rebooting, they're kind of continuation of Scrubs. Yes.
It's not fun because one's in Vancouver. So
yeah, so lots of flying around, I think, for her for that. But yeah, so she's not going to be on Scrubs as much because this is her main gig, but they've worked out something so she's going to be able to do both shows, which is great news.
Yeah,
so that's good.
Definitely good for what I think. Yeah, but as I say, now if you watch it, the Disney Plus, if you can grab the first season if you haven't already, yeah, give it 2 episodes. I'm sure you're going to sit down and binge the rest of them.
Yeah.
So, moving on for my last one, I decided to watch Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City.
Yes.
Which sort of happened around a few years ago when there was a Resident Evil Assault, when we had like the Netflix series featuring the 2 sisters. We had an animated movie as well and all sorts of stuff. Since then, we've had the announcement that Resident Evil will be coming back as a blockbuster. So yeah, I don't know, man. It seems like we just can't be without Resident Evil.
Yes.
It's just,
They're determined to make it work, even though it's fallen flat on its place a few times. But, carry on.
But you look at this one, Resident Evil, and the cast. Oh, my goodness. So we've got Kaya Scodelario as Claire Redfield. We've got Robbie Amell as Chris Redfield. We've got Hannah John Carmen as Jill Valentine. We've got Tom Hopper as Albert Wesker. We've got Avon Joggy as Leon Kennedy. We've got Neil McDonough in there as well as William Birkin, and Donald Logue as Chief Irons. So if you look, so this feels a bit like fantasy football. This feels like someone like just spent some serious money on some amazing signings.
Yeah.
To bring in and make this thing going forward. As far as I can tell, because I'm only a casual Resident Evil fan, this very much seems to be an alternate telling of the first game, perhaps. And it's okay as a action zombie film, but it really is just okay. It feels a bit like a streaming movie, which is a shame because that's a crazy amount of cast they got there. It's an amazing cast, but something just doesn't gel. So it works fine as a Sunday night movie. Robbie Amell does well. He just looked heroic. Nothing he can do. He just looks. You look at him. That's a hero guy. Yeah, he's making it through. But I can't recommend it. I wouldn't say don't watch it. I think that's just about it. It's got lots of little nods and winks to the games, so I think that's probably something that might pull people in. But yeah, I know that's all I can really say about it at this point.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I've not seen it myself. The ratings on it weren't particularly great when it was released. It was, it's 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not particularly good. Some were kinder than others. And they said it has to be given credit for the fact that it apparently does stick much closer than a lot of the other versions of Resident Evil have.
It definitely feels, I would say, it definitely feels like an adaptation of the first game.
Yeah, you can give it credit for that, but it just doesn't gel particularly well, whether it needed just a much bigger budget or whatever it is. The cast are great, but it's not like you're putting an A-lister in there. They're decent, well-known genre TV stars that are all perfectly capable of doing a really decent job, but it's not like you're sticking a huge A-list name in the lead role or anything for it. So I think it's a tricky one that they were obviously trying to do it on a slightly more limited budget and just didn't manage to pull it off. But yeah, it's very middling, seems to be where people have settled on it. It's okay, but not great. One, maybe if you are a big fan of the Resident Evil franchise, which I don't think either of us particularly are, but maybe one for you to go and stick on and take a look at. That's a shame. So for me, I picked up Marvel Zombies, worked through all 4 episodes of that, which is a sort of spin-off of the What If series, because they had a couple of zombie episodes in that, and they thought, this will be an interesting thing to make into an actual entire series. And they, across the 4 episodes, annihilate pretty much every character, like gets killed in some horrendous way throughout this. You've got this sort of core group, which is based around Kamala Khan in the lead, and she's with Kate Bishop and Riri Williams, Ironheart, and the other Hawkeye. So it's them at the start, and they're in this post-apocalyptic world where this virus has ravaged the world and has created these zombies. So it's this big wasteland, and they're trying to get somewhere where they have acquired this thing that they think will signal the Nova Corp to come and help them, but there is a problem getting the signal off planet, so they need to be in space to do it, so they need to go and find somebody that has a spaceship to be able to get them to do it. And that's where you start off. But people die left, right, and center throughout the entire thing. So you meet other characters as you go through it. There's Shang-Chi is in there, Red Guardian, Yelena, the sort of alternate Black Widow. You've got a version of Moon Knight and Blade, which have been mashed together to create Blade Knight, which I rather like that character. He's quite good fun. So you've got him in there. Ginny Wu shows up. You've got Wanda, Spider-Man, Ant-Man. So there's a bunch of people that you'll recognize in there, but don't get overly attached to anybody because nobody really stays around all that long. It goes along at a perfectly reasonable pace. It's quite a nice little 4-episode story. There are, I think, about 30 to 40 minutes an episode. Definitely worth watching. I think they did a reasonable job. They have left it slightly open in that they could potentially do another one, although what characters you'd feature if you did another one, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, they could potentially do another season of this. I think it was planned as a mini-series, but there is a little sort of ambiguity at the end that they could move it forward. But overall, thoroughly enjoyable. Yeah, nice. If you like your zombies and you like Marvel, it's a good 4-episode animated mashup done in the same style as the What If series. What If itself could be very hit and miss at times, but I thought, yeah, this is a solid crafted story. I thought worked really well. You've not picked this up yet?
No, I don't see myself really in there.
Yeah, yes, that's fair enough at the moment. So quite enjoyed that. Slow Horses came back for its 5th season, which one of the best shows on TV. It's been brilliant. The 5th season is based on the book London Rules, and it sees the MI5 rejects dragged into another messy situation. So it opens with a guy randomly with a very high-powered weapon shooting up a shopping center. And one of the team has started to look a little bit into this, and he's trying to convince the others to follow it, and they're like, no, we don't need to get involved with this. We'll just leave it alone. And this is where the London Rules things comes into it, because they're like, if we go to the main MI5 to say, hey, we think we've discovered this thing, Jackson Lamb, so Gary Oldman's character, is going, I'll have to pull out a bunch of paperwork, and they're going to want to know why we were looking at it. And we follow London Rules here, which is basically cover your back. So that's where you start. It then becomes apparent that one of the characters out of the group, Roddy, has got this ridiculously glamorous new girlfriend who is way out of his league, and they're all highly suspicious of this, and particularly this one of his colleagues. So she starts to follow him, and they go to a nightclub, and she's processing the grief of having lost her close friends at the same time. So she's desperately trying to find things, and they think it's just her trying to fill this kind of gap. And it turns out that she may actually be onto something, but they don't necessarily believe her straight away. It's quite a nice mix of where they start it. It's very much what we've come to expect from Slow Horses. We know we've got another season coming after this as well. They've been doing a great job with this. Have you watched any of the Slow Horses
I have not. I do hear good things about it.
Yeah, definitely. If you've got an Apple subscription, it's worth binging through Slow Horses. It's always worth picking up the Apple subscription just to go and watch that show, actually. It's because it is one of the best things on TV. It's wonderfully, beautifully written. Gary Oldman is fantastic as this very sort of grumpy, slob, chain-smoking, reluctant genius spy master kind of guy. But the rest of the cast is great as well. It's very British, very sarcastic in places. I can't praise it highly enough. It's really worth going to check that out. There was a couple of other little bits as well. One which is Peacemaker, which I'm really enjoying this season. Are you watching Peacemaker?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Steering clear of the superhero stuff. Spoiler for this week's episode of Peacemaker, but the whole thing of Peacemaker this season has been that he's got this dimensional portal. It's similar to the sort of thing following on from the Superman movie. He's got this dimensional portal, which he basically uses as a giant wardrobe. It's something his father had. It's always been in the house. And he discovers when he goes into there that he finds this door to an alternate reality, which is another world where his father's still alive, his brother is still alive, and the world itself just seems a lot better for him. He ends up basically trying to move to that world and leave everything else behind. His friends are like, what are you doing? No, you can't do that, and end up going after him. And it becomes apparent, this is the real sort of spoilery bit, there's revealed in this episode that the world that he's gone into, you start to notice, and as people have looked around, there's not a lot of people of any race other than white in that world. And it's eventually revealed in this episode that, yes, it is a Nazi world. Essentially, it's ruled by Nazis. And this is a sort of separate thing to that. One other thing with Peacemaker is, of course, the opening credits, which are these beautifully weird, bizarre dance sequences that they do as part of the opening credits. And those dance sequences, or the season 2 dance sequence, had apparently been made into a dance in the Fortnite game, which is fine until it becomes apparent that they put subtle hints to what is going on in the TV show in the dance. So in the dance, they are throwing Nazi, not salutes, but the arm movements are swastika symbols. It's very subtle in how they've done it. And it's obviously intentional as a hint to the show. So it's not like they're walking on screen and doing kind of blatant Nazi salutes or anything, but the dance moves do apparently mirror some of the elements of the show. And they did it for season 1, and they also did it for season 2. Unfortunately, by this point, somebody had made this into a dance move in Fortnite, and the Fortnite people like mass panic when that suddenly was revealed this week. So they ended up pulling the dance move out of Fortnite, apparently, because nobody had made that connection up until this week when that reveal came out. Yes, lots of people complaining online about the fact that they've pulled this dance move out of Fortnite, which I thought was quite amusing. But yeah, that was, yeah. So that was a thing. As I say, it makes sense as part of it for the show. And you can, it's one of those things that you go back and watch the opening and go, oh, I see it now. It's the shapes that they're making, and there's a whole through line with the dancing. Yeah, it's there. It is there, clearly. So yes, that I just thought the fact that nobody had told the Fortnite people at any point that was not a great idea, maybe, to do that.
Which is strange, because James never stopped talking about stuff, so maybe they might tell them that.
Yes, maybe he thought it wouldn't be an issue, because it wasn't, like I say, it's not like they're doing it really blatantly. It is fairly subtle, but it's also Fortnite, and it's aimed at tweens, basically. And now that he's known about it, there is potential for it getting misused, I think, and it not just being a silly dance. So I think, erring on the side of caution, the Fortnite guys decided to pull it, much to the annoyance of lots of tweens. Sticking with video games, there was a video game trailer that came out, which looked really interesting, but it's related to a TV show as well. It's related to Star Trek Voyager. So there is this new trailer that's come out for Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown, it's called. And it's a what if version of Star Trek Voyager, which I think is a really interesting idea. So you are taking control of Voyager, which, of course, if you know the TV show, they were out on a mission. They got flung to the other side of the galaxy and had to make their way home through the Delta Quadrant. So that's the entire setup for Voyager. So what you do is you take control of the ship and you do meet events that happen during the TV show, but you can decide to tackle it in a different way. You could actually, the event that throws them into the Delta Quadrant in the first place, it's hinted at that you can basically have an incredibly short game and do what is not the right thing to do at the very start of it and completely change the outcome and basically not to get thrown into the Delta Quadrant in the first place. Very short run of the game on that. But you basically have different options to be able to go, what if we went this way instead? So a prime example of this is there was a character that came up in one of the episodes called Tuvix, which was a amalgamation. It was a transporter accident amalgamation of yes. So it was
Tuvok and Neelix.
Tuvok and Neelix. That was it. So it merged them together, and they basically had this moral dilemma of, do we keep this effectively new entity, or do we ask him to go back into the transporter and pull him apart into the two original characters, which is what they do in the show. But you can not make that decision in the game and decide to keep Tuvix instead. So it's interesting. You can play that kind of different version of it. And along with that, there is spaceship management, because obviously the ship got damaged, so you can build decks inside the ship and stuff. It's described as a sort of roguelike journey through the Delta Quadrant. No two journeys are going to be exactly identical. We don't know exactly when it's going to release, but it's going to come out on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. I think that could be quite an interesting one to look out for if you're a Star Trek fan. I like that they're doing this with Star Trek games. They're doing interesting, different things with it rather than just trying to do shooters or something like that. Yeah, I think that's interesting. It's called Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown. Had to appeal to you as a sort of...
Yeah, that sounds amazing. That really does sound amazing. I wonder how so deep it goes into the stories. That's a fun way of having a second run through of a show like Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah.
Especially when you mentioned the whole Neelix Tuvok one. I instantly remember that one.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that episode as well. So I think, yeah, it's quite an interesting idea of you being able to take control of it and go, no, actually, we'll try it the other way, or we'll try and do something different. So yeah, to say, don't know exactly when that's going to come out, but it's called Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown. We'll have to see when that lands. That's all the stuff we've been watching. Let's move on to some TV and film news. So we kick off the TV and film news with renewals, cancellations, and pickups. MTV have cancelled a show called Catfish, the TV show. That ran for 9 seasons, apparently, but it was on Paramount Plus UK.
Wait, are you serious? Are you serious that you don't know what Catfish is? That's like pop culture, man.
Yeah, no, I've never, ever seen it. I was looking it up. Do you want to explain to people what Catfish is for people that haven't watched it?
Okay, Catfish stems from an experience one of the two people who initially ran it had, which is basically forming an online relationship with someone only to realize all the things about the pictures and stuff were fake.
Yes.
When it finally comes, we can meet them in person. And so people around the US, because that's where it started, would get in touch with the Catfish crew, basically saying, I've known this person for a while, but they will meet up and I'm wondering if maybe I'm being catfished. And they would head out to wherever that was, they'd head out to the person, then they would go to the person who they think, who they was next being a catfish. And you find out, and it'd just be this really quite intense sort of little story that you get to watch. And yeah, it was quite something. So I would know the term catfish.
Yeah, I mean, I was aware of the term catfish. I hadn't realised it had stemmed and grown in popularity, particularly from that TV show. But yes, that's been cancelled apparently after 9 seasons. That is a shame. That is gone. There was one that's been cancelled before it even got off the ground, which is a plan for a UK version of the US celebrity reality show called Stars on Mars, which was essentially what you'd expect from that title. It was a group of celebrities that got together and they were shoved into a thing that was supposed to experience what life on Mars would be like. Apparently, basically cancelled due to lack of interest. They couldn't get enough celebrities interested involved that they thought they could make a decent enough show out of it. That has been scrapped, apparently. They'll go into the jungle, they'll go on Strictly, don't want to be like locked up in something that is a simulation of being life on Mars. So, yes, there you go.
Understandable.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that either, but there you go. And Apple TV not have cancelled, but have postponed indefinitely the release of a new 8-part drama called The Savant, which was supposed to drop last week, which starred Jessica Chastain, followed an undercover investigator known as the Savant as she infiltrated online hate groups in an effort to stop domestic extremists before they act. The reason for this is, of course, because of all the stuff over the Charlie Kirk killing, and they are just a bit sensitive to that at the moment, which is understandable. So I suspect it will come on at some point, but they're going to let things die down a little bit before they release that. They've moved it, basically. Over on the renewal side of things, The Crow Girl has been renewed, which starred Eve Miles, Catherine Kelly, Clara Ruggard, and Victoria Hamilton. That's been renewed for a second season on Paramount Plus. Speaking of the Charlie Kirk stuff, we were talking last week about what was happening with Jimmy Kimmel. After we recorded that episode, they uncancelled him. And even the affiliate channels, which are run by the Spectrum, I can't remember what the other one's called, but basically Sinclair, yes. Both of them have had to back down and have essentially said, no, we'll start running Kimmel again. Yeah, so he's completely back on air. It's got that Streisand effect of the fact that he's probably got more viewers now than he had when he was pulled off air in the first place. Yes, he's back on again. And not so much a renewal, but there was a new series order which dropped today, which is called RJ Decker. They piloted this and they've over at ABC and they've picked this up to order. Follows a disgraced newspaper photographer and ex-con called RJ Decker, played by Scott Speedman, who I think was in Grey's Anatomy, as he starts over as a private investigator in South Florida, tackling cases that swing from the odd to the bizarre with the help of his journalist ex, his detective wife, and a mysterious benefactor from his past. So it's based on the novel, which was by the same guy that did Bad Monkey, which they made into an Apple TV show. It's going to be a very different tone to that. It's going to be more the sort of networky, the rookie kind of light dramedy sort of tone. But I quite like the sound of this. I think it sounds like it could be quite fun. For you, that sort of procedurally thing?
Yeah, maybe worth giving the first look.
Yeah, it will of course be on Disney Plus over here because it's ABC, which is Disney. So it will land on Disney Plus in the UK. They're saying mid-season 2025, 2026, which should put it in early next year. As to exactly when it drops over here, it may be a bit later than that, but on ABC, it'll be early next year. We have got some advanced premiere dates as well. Richard Osman's House of Games is back for a new season, in quotes. It's basically 100 episodes, 100 new episodes they've pretty much filmed. So Monday, September 29th at 6 p.m. on BBC Two, that will be back. So they're brand new episodes, not endless repeats. It's very difficult to know what's new and what's repeats with that, but they have got some new episodes coming from Monday, the 29th of September. You can get that. And we've got premiere dates for both 911 and 911 Nashville, the new spin-off. We were speculating whether they were going to run this like one after the other or whether they were going to run them together. They are running them together. It's a few weeks after they're released in the US. We're getting the 22nd of October on Disney Plus in the UK. I don't know why they've delayed it by a little bit, but they have. So 22nd of October, we're getting it here. So it's a couple of weeks behind the US. But great news. We are getting both and we're getting them both at the same time. They've also announced Grey's Anatomy, new season of that. I think it's 22nd season, 10th of October. That's going out the day after the US. So they can do the day after. For some reason, they've decided to delay 911 and 911 Nashville for a little bit. I don't know why. We've got premiere date for It, Welcome to Derry. That's starting on Sky on the 27th of October. That is landing on there. And we got news that the BBC have picked up the Irish version of The Traitors. We have got the celebrity version coming up next month. So that's coming into October. Looks like the Irish version will come in November. And then the UK version will be back in January. Traitors all the year round, pretty much as they can do anyway. But clearly it does well for them. The Irish version is supposed to be quite good. Yeah, you can go and check that out. That's landing in November. And one of the advanced air date we had as well is for Spartacus, House of Ashur. This is this new version of Spartacus. And again, it's another sort of what if thing, because Ashur was killed off on the main show, but they've gone down the road of what if he wasn't? And what if he was rewarded for all his sort of two-faced backstabbing and is rewarded the dominus that he was a part of, that he was a gladiator at. So they've rewarded him the gladiator school, basically, and it takes off from there. And that's the basic premise for it. It's on Stars in the US. It's going to be on MGM Plus in the UK because they have a deal for a lot of the Stars content. 6th of December, that's starting. So that's running in line with its release date in the US. So, yeah, I like the original Spartacus series. It's quite good fun, very gory, and naked bodies all over the place, I seem to remember. But it was always quite good fun and entertaining. I don't know whether you watched any of the original.
No, I never watched it, but I was aware of it. And I also remember you talking about the initial discussions about it popping up a few months back.
Yeah, so it's good. It's landed somewhere. I know it's MGM Plus, which isn't great for everybody because you've got to have a Prime membership and then you've got to have an MGM Plus subscription on top of your Prime membership and all that sort of stuff. But there's a few things on MGM Plus that it's worth signing up for. So yeah, worth checking that out, I think. It's one of those things, maybe you wait until it's all come out and then do a month of it and go and binge through that and Outlander, and they've got a Robin Hood series coming on there as well.
Is MGM Plus the one that has From, that horror?
No, that was Sky, and I don't think it's re-emerged anywhere else. I think it may be MGM in the US and it's not here for some reason. They have the Power series. They have all that franchise. They have Outlander Blood of My Blood, the Billy the Kid series, which is from the guy that did Vikings. That's quite good. There's a few other bits and pieces. They've got some interesting stuff on MGM Plus. It is sort of one of those that's worth putting on occasionally and just binging through a few things. Yeah, worth checking that out. But that's where Spartacus House of Ashur is landing. Are you looking forward to the 911 Nashville spin-off?
I have figured watch one. I really never really got into them.
Okay.
Otherwise, it comes out when every other feature I watch comes out, and there's only so many of those I can take.
Yeah, you've got to pick your lane with the procedurals. I did the 911 Nashville. The 911 trailer has them going into space, which, I mean...
I didn't see that, actually, yeah.
Which, it's the same as the Beanodo thing that they launched with last year. You're going, really? Is this the point where they've jumped the shark? But they pulled off the Beanodo thing. It's such a spectacularly... Actually, this works and is quite believable in the way that they've done it. Whether they could do that with them going into space, I don't know. But we'll see with that. We'll see whether it works or not. I am waiting for the moment where they just push it slightly too much. But yeah, so there's that. And 911 Nashville, you're introduced to, obviously, new location, new cast, led by Chris O'Donnell. That looks like it could be quite an interesting, different take. So yes, both of those landing 22nd of October. Few bits of other news. We've got Rick Moranis. He's finally returning to acting, and he's returning to acting in one of the roles that made him famous outside of Ghostbusters, and that is as Dark Helmet in the Spaceballs movie. And he's back in Spaceballs 2, playing Dark Helmet again. You've also got Josh Gad is in there. He's in the new role. Kiki Palmer, Louis Pullman, Anthony Carrigan, they're all the new cast in there. You've got Rick Moranis coming back. Delphine Zuniga, George Weiner, and Mel Brooks are also reprising their roles from the original. And of course, it is a Mel Brooks film. Josh Gad, I think, is involved in the writing of it as part of the script for this one. Josh Greenbaum, who did Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, he's directing it. It's co-written by Benji Smith and Dan Hernandez, who did Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy. Those are the people behind it. It's got a suitably silly, kind of wacky group of people that are behind the camera. Josh Gad as well as part of that writing group. I love the original Spaceballs. It's wonderfully stupid. We haven't got an official title for it yet either. At the moment, it's just been called Spaceballs 2. We'll see what subtitle they come up with for it. But today there was a poster going around that says The Swartz Awakens. Spaceballs. But yeah, have you ever seen the original Spaceballs? Because it might be a bit before your time.
No. Yeah, I am that old, very much so. I do remember all the things. Cold in the Desert, one of my personal favorites, things like that. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Watch it multiple times.
Yes, it is a wonderfully fun film, the original movies. And Rick Moranis, this is basically, I think he's done one or two little bits, but it's pretty much a return to acting for him because his wife passed away, who was a costume designer. She passed away in 1991, I think, of cancer. And he basically just stepped out of acting and said, I'm going to go and raise my kids. So he's intentionally stepped away from the business. And he's done like little bits of voiceovers and commercials and stuff, but he couldn't balance the sort of acting stuff and raising his children. He stepped away. And this is really the sort of first major thing he's come back for, which I'm very happy about. I'm glad he's coming back and doing this. I think that's great that they've got him back in. On a very different note, Channel 5 have a new thriller coming as well, which has got Joanna Scanlon in the lead role, who's always fantastic. It's called Missed Call, and the rest of the cast has been announced for that as well. And set in a picturesque French village, Missed Call follows a single mother called Sarah, whose life is thrown into turmoil after she receives a late-night missed call from her teenage daughter, Katie, while she's on a school exchange. Rushing to France, Sarah is horrified to discover the host family and local authorities are disturbingly indifferent to Katie's disappearance. As her desperation grows, she pushes back against their complacency, sparking a dangerous race against time to uncover the truth. So Joanna Scanlon leading the cast as the mother. You've got Claire Clem in there. You've got Rupert Graves, Francois Xavier de Melson, and Robert Lindsay are the other cast as well. So there's a mixture of the French and British cast that are in there. But I think that sounds quite good. Channel 5 seem to be really putting the work in with their
that's how
dramas.
I'm surprised it's going to hold. How many episodes is it?
I think it's 6. So it's a sort of standard British short thriller run. So yeah, it's one of those sort of one-off dramas, I think it's being pitched as. But Channel 5 really seem to be doing the legwork with their drama stuff now, because they were always known as the channel where you shoved all your kind of reality stuff and it was all rubbish. But they're actually doing quite a decent job with some of their dramas now, which is great to see. But I think this could be quite an interesting one. Don't know exactly when that lands, but that's the cast for it. And last bit of news we have is it's been rumored for a while and they've been back and forth on it, but Fox have finally ordered a reboot of 12 episodes of Baywatch. So it will be back. Grab your sunscreen, inflate your rescue float, practice your slow motion jog. It is coming back. It is an entirely new iteration. I don't think it's a continuation. They're not pitching it as that. They're pitching it as a reboot. It's from Matt Nix, who did Burn Notice, which was a fabulous show. So I think he's brilliant as the person to lead it. It's got the original co-creator of the show with it as well, which is a guy called Greg Bonnan. Other than that, we don't know any of the cast. We don't know exactly where they're filming it either. Obviously, it's set in the beaches in Los Angeles, so that would be the obvious place if they can get decent tax credits for it. The other option is they shoot it in Australia because it's cheaper to shoot out there. So those are the two possibilities of where they might shoot it. We don't know yet. But, I mean, it's going to be Baywatch with a slightly modern procedural twist, I guess, to it. Interestingly, Fox did have a surf rescue show called High Surf Rescue, I think, which was set in Hawaii.
I knew of it because it stars Ariel Cabell as one of my favorite actresses.
Yeah, that I think was a far more serious drama. It was more in that vein. Whereas I think this will probably be more a kind of fun dramedy vein, more Rookie style than sort of more harder drama. Because somebody said, they've just got rid of one. Why are they doing this? And they were talking about it in the comments on the site. And apart from brand recognition, obviously, I think the other thing is tonally, it's going to be very different to what High Surf. Originally, they had said that they could potentially keep both around and do one in the summer and one in the autumn. But they ended up getting rid of High Surf and they've now ordered Baywatch instead, which I'm quite looking forward to this. I have a lot of nostalgia for Baywatch. Thoughts? One that you won't dive into?
Stop it. I don't know. I think I would like to see the tone, which is interesting because I don't know obviously I just know Matt Nix from Bad Notice, and it was funny, but it was also very serious, especially once you got a couple seasons in.
Yeah,
It had a very different sort of feel to it. So I wonder how this will go.
Yeah, which is why I'm excited that Matt Nix is the person behind this, because I think he has that nice balance of sort of action drama with some comedic elements to it, but still managing to make it quite serious in places. And I think he's quite a good guy to be managing this. 12 episodes they've ordered at the start, so we'll see whether they order more or how it goes. It's always risky rebooting stuff, but Fox have ordered it. Bear in mind, it is Fox, so it could land absolutely anywhere over here, because Fox have no affiliation to anybody, because the Fox channel in the US is not attached to Disney. It's the thing that the Murdoch Group kept with the actual channel itself after Disney bought all the Fox assets. So it really could end up anywhere over here. ITV, I think, have some seasons of the original. Sky, I would thought, would be the obvious place to bid for it, but we'll see when it comes out. So that's all the news we've got for this week. Let's move on to some highlights from next week on TV. So, highlights for next week. We have every single season of 24 dropping on ITVX. As we mentioned last week, ITVX have bought not only all the original show, all, I think, 9 seasons of that, plus the movie, plus the spin-off series. So everything 24 related is going to be landing on ITVX on the 2nd of October. Love that show originally. It's really great fun. It's well worth going to watch through if you've never ever seen it. Kiefer Sutherland as a counter-terrorist unit agent thwarting multiple terrorist plots. There was a presidential assassination. There was a thermonuclear detonation at one point. Cyber attacks. I think you must have seen some of 24 at some point.
Oh, yeah. I think I watched all of them except for the spin-off. I only watched like an episode. No, it's all the same.
Yeah, no, we actually quite enjoyed the spin-off because me and Matt actually podcasted it because Matt's a huge 24 fan. I quite enjoyed it, but it wasn't, you didn't have Jack Bauer, and there is now talk of them doing a new series.
Yeah.
We spoke about that a few weeks ago, about them bringing it back, and Kiefer was in an interview saying that something has been written for that. So we'll see whether that emerges. So it's an interesting thing for them to pick up, whether they picked it up because obviously it was spiking in social media a few weeks ago, and that's when this announcement that they would do, whether that just spurred somebody to go, we should pick that up, or whether this is a signal that they are hearing that 24 thing is moving forward. Don't know, but yes. So 2nd of October anyway, for everything 24 related landing on ITVX. Have I got news for you? Returns for its 70th season. That's on the 3rd of October at 9 p.m. Always great to have that back. How Are You? It's Alan Partridge, which is the new Alan Partridge series. It was originally called And Did Those Feet, but they changed the name of it at some point. So obviously Alan Partridge, new documentary series starring Alan Partridge, and it is coming to the BBC One on the 3rd of October. So if you're an Alan Partridge fan, I'm sure you're going to be into that. Monster, the Ed Gein story, that lands on the 3rd of October on Netflix. This is the latest from Ryan Murphy. Charlie Hunnam is playing Ed Gein in this. They've been fantastic. That's another one of those to check out. The third, I think, and final episode of Challenge Annika, which was shelved by Channel 5, I think about 2 years ago. They had a third episode, which they shot and never aired. But if you fancy seeing that third and final episode, 5th of October at 10:30 p.m, they've plugged that in. There is a new series coming to ITV called Frauds, which has Saran Jones and Jodie Whittaker in the lead. There was a trailer for this. It looks quite funny. And it's basically 2 skilled confidence tricksters being separated by a 10-year prison sentence, but come back together to do one last job. And it's called Frauds. ITV out on the 5th of October at 9 p.m. That is landing. Saturday Night Live back in the US, back in the UK as well. 51st season of that coming to Sky Comedy on the 5th of October at 9 p.m. There is a new romantic comedy drama called Film Club. That's coming to BBC 3 on the 7th of October at 10 p.m. and will be on iPlayer from 6 a.m. on 7th of October as well. It's about Tom and Eve, who every Thursday evening watch a film together in her garage. They're there for the love of movies, or at least that's what they tell themselves. It's a sort of little strapline for that. but that looks like it could be quite good. Amy Lou Wood is the lead in that one. Yeah, that looks like it could be quite a decent little sort of romantic comedy drama. She co-wrote it actually alongside Ralph Davis, who worked on things like Big Boys. So yeah, it's a 6-part series coming the 7th of October on iPlayer from 6 a.m. and on BBC 3 from 10 p.m. So you'll be able to go and check the whole thing out on iPlayer as well. Then we've got Harry Wild. Seasons 1 to 3 of that are landing on You and Drama. That's on the 7th of October at 8 p.m. I think that was on the BBC previously, but it was one of those ones, or it was on somewhere else, Acorn, I think, but they've picked that up. Murder Before Evening Song, which is a adaptation of the novel by Reverend Richard Coles, is set in the 1980s following Canon Daniel Clement, a village rector who becomes entangled in a murder when a body is found in his church. That's one of the new Channel 5 dramas coming on the 7th of October at 9 p.m. That looks like it could be quite good if you're missing some ecclesiastical crime solving while you're waiting for Grantchester to return. And Nevermind the Buzzcocks is back for its 5th season on Sky Max. That is 7th of October at 9 p.m. This has been brilliant, this show. Greg Davis as host. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying that revamp of Nevermind the Buzzcocks. It's been great. So, yeah, some really good stuff coming this week. Frauds I will check out. I do want to check out Murder Before Evening Song as well. I think that looks good. And Nevermind the Buzzcocks. So there's some interesting stuff, I think, around. Yeah. If people want to check out your stuff in the meantime, where can they find you?
So they can head over to HollywoodNorthNews.net for all the TV and film stuff that you love about Canada, filmed in Canada. Also, we'll probably be leading up with more coverage for MTM, basically just talking about the guests, because there's a lot of guests heading to London in October. So we'll try to keep ahead of that because we will be in attendance as well.
Yes, we will be at MCM as well. So we'll both be down there. So yes, definitely some interesting people coming to MCM this year. Definitely. If you want to find other people involved in the show, you can find Domingos over at HollywoodNewsSource.com for all these TV articles and interviews. Matt, you can find over at entertainmenttalk.org for lots and lots more podcasts as well. And if you're a Traitors fan, we have another guest co-host next week. So stick out for that, which is quite good timing because the Celebrity Traitors is coming as well. So we'll be able to talk a little bit to them about that. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can, of course, visit the website at geektown.co.uk throughout the week and see all the latest air date information. If you want to get in touch with your questions or comments, email us on podcast@geektown.co.uk. Leave a message on the website post. Find us at Geektown on Twitter, on Facebook at facebook.com/Geektown, YouTube at youtube.com/Geektown, Blue Sky at Geektown, Instagram at Geektown UK, TikTok at Geektown UK, and Threads at Geektown UK. That is everything. We shall see you next week. Bye-bye. Bye.
Wow.